Hello, everyone. My name is Chris. I am a concept designer. I've been working in the theme park industry for about 10 years now, and my some of my clients are Disney Imagineering, Universal Studio Creative, and I'm here today with my friend Michael. Say hello, Michael.
Hello, everyone. My name is Michael Welker. I'm a semi-retired creative producer, also from the theme park industry, where I worked with Chris a couple of times. Um, I've worked at Walt Disney Imagineering. I've also most recently Universal Studios in Japan, working on Super Nintendo World, where I was the producer. And Chris and I have known each other for over a decade. And recently we decided, hey, we've got some time off and let's do a project together. Why don't we learn how to make a video game? Neither of us have ever done that before, but we thought it would be a lot of fun and really interesting. And so we had been working on that privately
Mhm.
for the last like 6 to 9 months or so. And we got to a point where we said, hey, why don't we stream this? This could be really interesting for people to watch how we are approaching this creative process and learning how to do this. And if we can learn how to do it, you can too. So thanks for
Mhm.
joining us.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well put, Michael. So essentially, Michael and I are starting from the ground up. He's never done Unity before, so he's like basically learning, watching tutorials, and learning from the ground up. Same thing with me. I've worked a little bit in 3D, but I never actually made a game using 3D. So today you'll see kind of like the progression of well, you'll see where we have been, where we are right now for the past like this. I think this is our meeting number 8, and you'll see some of the progress that we've made. And I'm so happy that we actually have like a whole bunch of people here to share our stuff with right now. We will be starting really slowly, as in like if you guys have worked in the video game industry, you'll be like, well, why aren't you guys doing this? We're total noobs, so we're also like failing and struggling. So it's a journey. It's a journey, and we want to share with you guys that if we somehow someday make this game happen, so can you guys. As long as we take it day by day and just do it bit by bit, and just be motivated and just do it um, consistently, then we'll achieve our dreams. Fingers crossed, right? Okay, so Michael, do you want to go do a recap first, or do you want me to do a recap first?
Doesn't matter to me. I'm happy to do on my end. I can
Okay,
go
all right.
first if you'd like.
Actually, that's a good idea because people will actually know what we've been up to. So I
Hmm.
will give you the
Yes.
ball, which I think I did give you the ball. Okay, you have permission to share your screen.
Okay.
And
Here
while
we
you're
go.
setting everything up, I'll just read some of the things on the chat. Jonty says, I might have heard about this problem. Are you using OBS? Yes, Jonty, I am using OBS. Hopefully, I'm not the only person that's having this issue, this dropping all of a sudden issue. Not that I wish this on anyone else, but I've been trying to figure this thing out on my own and I just can't do it. So Michael, take it away.
Sure. So we are making a rail shooter, a flying rail shooter game, very similar in vein to like a Star Fox type game, which is basically, you can fly around in this ship. That seems to be
Oh,
broken. I think I've broken some things with the script that I made from last week. So let's see if I can dodge these without crashing into them. I
no
think this
worries.
last pair here, no, they got
Whoa!
me.
There they got you.
Uh, but what basically, oh, and this is important too. In addition to what Chris had mentioned earlier, we're not right now trying to like make a AAA game and release it on all these different platforms. In fact, we're not even, the current goal isn't even to make a game. It's just to make the first level. It's just to say, we're going to create this sandbox that is a completed level for a potential game that we would make in the future. Um, and once we do that, and we can convince ourselves that, or prove to ourselves that, yes, we can do it and we can make one level and we can make it fun. We have people who have beta tested it, doesn't have any bugs, and it is an enjoyable game. Then we're going to make the decision about, okay, now this is something that we want to continue doing. And now we're going to make another 14 levels to kind of complete this game. We're going to add a story to it and so on and so forth. But right now, we're just working on what's called like an MVP, which stands for a minimum viable product. And it's just a way to, before spending all this extra time uh, building a full game, we want to make sure that it's actually fun, that it's actually something that we want to do.
Right.
And because we're still learning, it's easier to start with, just make a single level before making an entire game. And so what you're seeing here is kind of the progress that we've made up to this point in Unity. I'm using like a 3D Unity tutorial kind of online course to learn how to make games. And in that course, one of them is like, hey, here's how to make a rail shooter. So I'm using that to kind of get to where we're going here. But all the like the art assets, the ship that's flying around and the bots that you see in space there, those are all models that Chris has created, and we've just imported them into the game. And where we were last week, up to this point, I kind of figured out how to do all the terrain and have the ship move around and be able to, shoot these lasers when I hold down the mouse button. We also had like exploding bots, but they're not exploding right now because the scripts that I've used, I've like updated them since last time. And so actually what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop this. I'm going to load in the work that I've done since last time. Let's go ahead and clear this console of all of these. Oh yeah. So all those errors in there were because it's like, hey, all this stuff has changed since last, like what's going on here? So what I had added last time was up in the top left, you'll see it says start. And then as soon as I shoot this enemy here, you'll see it jumps up to 30. And so now it's like counting points. And what I've added since then is you'll notice that, well, I'll show you in a second, but when I'm shooting these enemies, there are actually little sparks that are kind of flying off them to indicate that they're being hit.
Yeah,
it's
I saw
a little
that.
hard to tell.
Yeah, I see that.
So yeah, so I've got that. And another thing that I added too, I will, I'm going to restart this because one of the first enemy on the right, I actually gave him way more hit points than the other enemies. So you can see like when I shoot this guy on the left, he blows up pretty quick. But then this guy, like I can just pound away at him before he blows up.
Got it. Got it. Nice.
So yeah, I found a way to give hit points to different enemies. So everybody else has got the same. They have 3 hit points. So as soon as they get hit 3 times with lasers, they're going to blow up. And then that one enemy on the right at the beginning, I think I gave him 30 hit points.
Got it.
But that's something that can be adjusted, and that is a serialized field that I can show you. If I click on enemies here, over here, you can see that there's a hit points box.
Right.
So this is the guy that has 30 hit points, and then this guy, he's only got 3. All the other ones only have 3.
Nice.
And then another thing that's going to be worth showing in here is, so part of the plan for Chris and I was to kind of limit the scope of this first level, because we have a lot of ideas and Chris has done a whole bunch of different designs, but we said, let's kind of limit what we're doing just to prevent what's called like scope creep. And so we said, let's just do 3 enemy types and 1 mini boss. And so Chris has actually created those 3. In what you're seeing in the game right now, I've only imported one of the types of enemies. It's this like basic T-drone. But we also have like a missile drone, and then this like laser drone. But we also have the mini boss in here, which you're going to see in a second here. Oh, and I've adjusted the animation a little tiny bit. I didn't have a whole lot of time to work on it, but I kind of just scooted it in the timeline a little bit sooner, so that and actually we might crash with this. Or did I disable that?
Yeah. Oh,
okay.
Yep, we crashed.
So give me 1 second. I have to disable the triggers on this box, on these box colliders, in order to prevent us from colliding with things. Because that's something that I'm going to need to, well, actually it's performing the way it's supposed to, but I need to adjust the flight path of the plane, because otherwise there's no way for the player to dodge that arm on the mini boss. You're just like automatically going to crash into it. So we're going to have to, go a little bit wider when we're flying up there.
See.
So oh, another cool thing that I can't do it here because I've got this maximized, but I figured out how to skip ahead. You know how before we were like, we got to play through the first 40 seconds to get to the boss.
Right.
There's a way to skip that now. I figured out how to do that. I'll show you that in a second.
Nice.
But since we're already here and we've got this maximized, we'll kind of just roll with it. What else? So we've gotten pretty far and I'm almost done with this tutorial. There's only a handful of things left to do and actually hopefully we'll pass right through here and we won't crash. And so here
Nice.
you see we've got like this nice giant mini boss.
Yeah.
It's gonna animate a little bit. Oh, and I gave it a whole bunch of hit points so you could just shoot this
Oh,
thing for a
wow.
long
Nice.
time.
Nice.
But it will eventually blow up. And then so it's gonna like spin around and go down.
That's cool.
Anywho, yeah. So that's that. Yeah, and that is since we last talked, the adjustments that I made were kind of like what I had shown you there with the sort of impact particle effects that are happening when you're like shooting these guys, like this guy right here. You can see those like sparks flying off. So that's an effect that I added. I'm not completely satisfied with that amount of feedback. I want more, maybe to have the bots kind of like glow red or like, kind of pulse red for a quick second when you're shooting them.
Sure. Sure.
Or have the impact effect be a little bit more pronounced. Maybe if there's like a targeting reticle on the screen, we could do the thing in that a lot of first-person shooters do, where it switches from a like crosshair to like an X,
Right.
and has like a sound that kind of indicates a hit.
Nice.
Because feedback for the player is really important, and I
Right.
don't think this is quite there yet. And the impact effect is too subtle for me. But learning how to adjust the sorry, I'm a little distracted. It looks like we might have gone offline.
Oh,
On
shoot.
my iPad, it says that
Yep.
we've gone
Yep.
offline.
Yep.
Okay. I will hold while we return.
And we are back on. Oh, King asks, is it possible to destroy every enemy on each map?
The short answer is yes. The longer answer is depending on how we manage progression in the game, we may do a thing where when you first play the game on your like first playthrough, you're going to be not quite as powerful as you can become later on. And it may be the case that at the very beginning of the game, you're just not strong enough or fast enough to kill all of the enemies. But as you progress through the game and make upgrades to your ship, you can go back and replay earlier levels, and you're able to maybe access areas you couldn't access before, or you can
Mhm.
kill enemies that you couldn't kill because you weren't strong enough. So yes, it will be possible for you to kill every single enemy in every level, but that may not be the case early in the game. Good question.
Yeah, thank you so much, King. And Owl Buffin says it feels like visual effects are gonna make or break the project. Um, I would say not necessarily. I mean, VFX, I think it will definitely make the game a lot prettier, a lot sexier. But I find that the game as is should be fun to play. I mean, hell, if it's just a box and if it's, lasers coming out of the box meaning the ship, and if it's shooting at, enemies, and if we have sound and the feel of it, if it feels fun, if it's fun in general, then I think it's successful. For me, I don't think VFX should make or break this because as long as functional, then I think that works. But I mean, you could have a beautiful game, but the playing experience of it may not be as good. Just kind of like, a movie, you have the best budget for visual effects, but if you don't have good story, then, it's not a good movie. So in the same way, for me, it's as long as the game is fun, then the visual effects only adds to the game. It won't break it. That's my thought to it. How about you, Michael?
No, that very well said. Yeah, I completely agree. Like, I think the most important thing is making the game fun.
Hmm.
Because even some of the most fun games have some of the worst graphics.
Right, right,
Um,
right.
you could look at something like, well, I don't think it's a fun game, but a lot of people do. Flappy Bird.
Mm.
Um, that game has terrible graphics, especially considering when it came out. Um, and and some games actually kind of lean into that, like they intentionally go for bad graphics.
Right.
And for us, because we're just a two-man team, making something that looks like a AAA game is not really part of our agenda. We
Hmm.
definitely want to make a game that looks good, and we are spending a lot of time in design meetings talking about the art and the aesthetics of the game. And everything you're seeing here is currently, I mean, most of these assets are just placeholder assets. Like these polygonal trees are just things that I have from like stock assets, and the environment is just what was like built into Unity. I mean, I mapped all the terrain and then like painted all the grass and the rocks and things, but those are all just sort of like the default bump maps for the terrain modeling in Unity.
Right.
Um, but all of that said, yeah, we definitely want, the game to look good, but it's not our top priority. Top priority is making it fun first, and then adding as much a polish as is necessary.
Right, right. And Michael, going back to what you said about the visual connection between the us hitting the robots and uh, the feedback. Right now, the
Hmm.
visual feedback, I mean, it's not there yet, but it is something definitely. But I think sound will definitely add a lot to it. For example, the laser hitting
Mm,
the bots, like
totally.
whether it's like ding 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 or whatever
Mm,
sound it is, we'll be able to connect that. Oh, it's being hit.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so sound's going to be, yeah, I think this game is going to completely change. Like the experience of playing this is going to completely change once we add sound effects and music.
Right, right.
I'm going to see if I can destroy this boss here. I may have
Oh,
given
do
it
it.
too many hit points, but I'm going to try. Oh, that's something that I can show you once we jump out of here. Because I had to map uh, a box collider for this thing,
Uh-huh.
and so I had to put like several of them together to try to like make it work. Oh man, this thing has got, that's weird. Like for some reason it stops. Oh, there we go. Got it.
Oh, nice. Good job, man.
Here, let me jump out of here and go to this thing. Oh, I gotta go here to da, 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 da. So you can see like I added
Oh, I
these
see.
the green things there.
Yep,
They're
yep.
not perfect because you can see like this part, if I were to shoot that, it's not gonna hit, and then in here. But this was just in order to be able to shoot the thing,
Hmm.
I just put something in there pretty quickly.
Got it,
Um,
got it.
so I added that. And one other thing that I wanted to mention, and I don't really know like the right way to do this or if it's something we even can do, but in the anim, so actually let me start here with this. So this is, uh, there we go. So this is the old like off the shelf stock player ship, right?
Hmm.
And it has this mesh renderer here. So if I uncheck that, the ship disappears, right? So it's
Hmm.
basically like the mesh of the ship is
Right.
contained in this mesh renderer. In the models that I've imported, so like the ship here doesn't have one. It has these elements which do have mesh renderers, but it's like each individual cube is its own
Right. Hmm.
mesh. Is it possible to like combine them before
Uh,
export? Do you know?
I want to say yes. I can do that for you for our next meeting. I am afraid that what you're asking, what I'm afraid that is I would have to connect all the meshes together, vertex by vertex, in order to do that. But I want to see if there's a way where I could just export it as
Oh.
one object instead of as
Mm-hmm.
a grouped object instead of like individual objects in the in the FBX file. So
Mm-hmm.
I know exactly what you're asking for, and give me 4 days to, or give me some time and I'll
Sure.
send it to you, and then we can look at it next week or next session.
And if it takes longer than that, that's totally fine. There's absolutely no rush.
Hmm.
The
Hmm.
only reason I'm asking about that is because what that allows me to do is I can program when the ship gets killed, I
Uh-huh.
can make it disappear. So then you're just seeing the explosion.
Got
But
it.
if I can't access like a single mesh renderer game
Right.
object
Right.
component, I don't know how to like make this one disappear
Got it.
because
Got it.
I don't know how to access these individual pieces. It might be I might be able to do that in the script, but I currently don't know how to do that. If or go ahead.
Is there any, because there's like maybe 10 pieces in there. Is there any way to like when it dies, it like everything like falls apart, like it explodes?
Yeah, that's the ultimate goal. I'd love to be
Yeah.
able to do that, where like those things can just like randomly disperse,
Yeah.
spiral into oblivion. Like
Yeah.
that would
Yeah.
be amazing. So yes, I'd like to get there, but
Sure. 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 Yeah.
the
Yeah.
sort of
Yeah. Hmm. Hmm.
stage one
Yep. Yep.
shortcut
Yep. Yep. Yep.
is just to turn them
Totally.
off.
Got it. Sounds good.
Um,
Yeah, I'll definitely get that to you next session.
okay, no problem. That is the FBX model thing that we talked about. Um, yeah, the only other thing that I did is I actually spent quite a bit of time kind of reorganizing the assets to kind of because we're starting to have a lot of them, and I was trying to like get them a little bit better organized.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, that's about it though.
Nice.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's
Do you
my
mind just
recap and update.
do you mind replaying it again?
Sure.
Yeah. So, chat, just let you guys know that essentially Michael has done an awesome job, like actually making the models work. Because I can model stuff all day, but he's taking the models and actually animating it and actually making it into a game, which is awesome. So this is the kind of collaboration that Michael and I have been doing for the past, I don't know, 6 weeks. But I mean, we've been
At
working towards
least.
at least, yeah. And this is not easy for us. So,
Yeah,
I'm
this is all brand new
yeah, and
for both
I'm
of
very
us.
proud of what we've done so far, and I'm very excited to keep doing this, just to keep taking it forward. Um, but yeah, let me know what your guys' thoughts are in the chat, and but yeah, no, thank you so much, Michael, for sharing this. This is great, and I want to see the boss. I want to see the boss. Yes, yes, very cool.
Something interesting is happening here. If I hold down this fire button,
Uh-huh.
eventually it will not let me shoot anymore. Like right there,
Oh
it
yeah, yeah, I see it.
stops.
I see it. Yep, yep.
And I don't know why.
Hmm. Interesting. Very cool. Very, very cool. All right. Cool. Thanks, Michael.
Sure.
So let me chat with you really quick about what before I show you a recap of what I did
Okay.
today. Remember last week we talked about, or we asked ourselves, should we do this on the planet or should we do this in outer space?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I went ahead and did a little bit of exploration because what we have right now is very cool. I think it works. I think it works really well. And I forget. Last week I asked the same questions, like how did we end up talking about space when we have something already so cool on the planet, right? I can't remember what's the reason, but we all of a sudden started talking about, oh, what if this was in space instead, right? And then so that was my homework, was to just explore, would this thing look cool in space? And I don't think I've answered that question yet, but let me just show you and everyone what I did so far. Let me pull up this. Okay, so for what I did, and you guys saw this already, last week I went ahead and did a version of the, oops, actually, uh, That's interesting. One of the bots, they all kind of got merged together. But anyways,
Oh yeah, you're right.
it actually looks kind of cool.
Yeah.
But anyways, so this was what the mini boss that I created, and you guys saw it in the game, right? And
Hmm.
this is the hero ship that I've also created and which is now implemented in the game. And let me go ahead and move this so that I can actually see what's going on. Put this there. Perfect. All right. So, okay, so let me, okay, let me try to do this correctly. All right. And let me take this and let me hide this right here so we don't see this. All right. And then I'm going to press this right here. Boom. All right. And I'm going to turn on the enemies.
Ooh,
And
cool.
what I did, Michael, was I went ahead and created but I created a camera and then have the hero ship be parent to the camera so that whenever I'm in camera view, I can
Oh, cool.
do this, right? I could, I'm moving the camera, but the plane is locked to the camera, and so
Oh, that's great.
we're staring at its ass every moment. Unfortunately, I can't do the pitch or yaw.
Mm-hmm.
I can only do that if I do this, which is like
Oh,
whoa,
interesting.
Um,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. I could for now. I can't do what you do in Unity. I and plus it won't do this. Oh shoot, it won't do do this thing right here.
Mm-hmm.
So
Hmm.
I apologize for that. The only thing we can
No
see
problem, man.
is the only thing we can see is the plane going like this. All right.
Yeah,
King
that's great.
King says, I don't know if you got my message when we got disconnected, but I was wondering if it's possible to destroy every enemy on each map. Yes, we saw your message and we answered it, but I think when we answered it, it probably did not play while it was reconnecting. So Michael's short answer was yes, and the long answer was, Michael, do you want to fill it in?
Sure. The long answer is we have plans to add a progression system to the game, which will basically allow you to become more powerful as you go, adding better weapons to your ship, adding shields, or the ability to um, possibly even access other parts of levels that you couldn't access before you got an upgrade. So it may be the case that in the earlier levels, when you were on your first playthrough, your ship might not be powerful enough to actually take out every enemy. But as you progress through the game, become more powerful, you can go back to those missions, play them in order to get a perfect score. So yes, that is something that will be possible in the final game, but how that shakes out is going to depend on whether or not we can implement that progression system.
hmm hmm Thank you, Michael. And King asks, multi-lock on. Um,
Ooh,
what does multi-lock on mean, Michael?
I think what King is referring to is like if you've got, 10 enemies on the screen, could you say have a secondary missile system
Oh,
that could
oh,
like lock
interesting.
on to multiple targets at once and then fire like a volley of missiles that would go and hit all of them? Um, Kind of like in the first Iron Man where he's got those little like tiny missiles in his shoulders or something, and yeah,
Yeah,
exactly, locks
yeah,
onto
yeah,
all
yeah.
those people, and then they all go and
Well, that's cool. That's a good suggestion.
yeah, that's a really good suggestion.
Nice.
Because I mean, part of the thing that's really fun about shooter games in general, and then rail shooters too, is the firepower.
Right,
And I don't think enough rail shooters take advantage of giving the player different options.
right, right. All right. So, this is what I have so far, and while I'm doing this, I realize this is kind of boring. I don't really. The only reason why I feel like I'm actually moving is because of the X and Y lines, as well as, the bots in the space, right? And so
Mhm.
I was thinking to myself, I need to have more stuff in there.
Totally.
I need maybe like a space station or something, so that I could
Yes.
fly through, like going like this, like whoa, um,
Hmm.
something like this, whoa, and or maybe something. like a kind of like a launching pad, if I could find it. Uh, where are you? Where
It's
are
hard to
you?
find stuff
There
in
you go.
space.
Yep, there it is.
Ooh, cool.
So I
Yeah, I
created
like that.
this little like uh everyone use your imaginations, kind of like when you're at rest, right?
Whoa, yeah,
And
yeah,
then
yeah.
all of a sudden 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, something like
Yes.
that. So we will have something like that. And then I went ahead and also created an just like an icosphere, so that's like, oh, this is kind of a interesting shape. It's like if we're like
Yeah.
in a structure of some kind, or if we have to like destroy something in there. So there's a possibility of that. And also I also created like this thing right here, which is, kind of it's just a simple structure, but it just shows how cool and dynamic it can be when, you're
Mhm.
just passing through it, even though it's like a simple structure of some sort. I'm just creating this so that I can actually just prove to myself that, oh yeah, it'll be visually interesting once we created what it should be in there. And I also created a little sphere in here. So that's kind of like
Oh,
the moon
cool.
or Death Star
Mhm.
or something.
A little Death
Yeah.
Star.
And then I started thinking like, maybe I should add a little bit of like asteroid field or something. And then I added a little tiny asteroid
Oh,
field so that
cool.
it'll feel it'll feel
Oh,
like we're actually
yeah.
moving in space, right?
Hmm.
Hopefully it's running and not chugging. Is it chugging on your end by any chance, Michael?
The Zoom call that we're on is totally fine.
Okay, great.
My Twitch stream froze a while ago.
Oh, boo. Okay.
I think it's just on my end though.
All right. So I think it's still going. My iPhone's still going. All right, cool. I'm just gonna hope that it's still going. Please you guys let me know if it's running okay. Thank you guys, chat. And so just adding those little few um, asteroids, it definitely helps with the space,
Yeah,
right?
that made a big
So
difference.
yeah. Oops. And then the next thing I wanted to do was oh, King says it works well on my end. Yeah, thank you so much. High
Excellent.
five. Thank you, thank you, thank you, King. Um, and so the next thing I wanted to do was actually make this into a space. This is the but wait, there's more moment, and hopefully
Nice.
I'm holding my breath. Hopefully it'll work.
Probably not because you're live in front of the entire world.
I know, I know. It's I'm doing it.
It's thinking about it.
It's thinking about it. So it's either gonna work or it's not gonna work. Ah, it
Whoa,
worked. It worked, ladies and
that's
gentlemen.
amazing.
So we are in space. So
Wow.
that's a moon.
Oh, that's so cool.
And this is the thingy majiggy. Um, the
Yeah,
launch
that
pad.
skybox makes a big difference in
Right,
terms of like
right.
orientation and kind of like helping you keep track of where you are. But yeah,
Yeah.
well, I don't want to steal your thunder. So
No, 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 no.
what are your
Yeah.
thoughts? Like, do you feel like you've proven it to yourself?
I think I need another session in order for me to actually create more stuff, more of these structures,
Hmm.
so that we could fly past through these things, right? And then
Sure.
just go like, oh hey, oh, just something a little bit more than just what I'm seeing right now. Because obviously we
Hmm.
could shoot at these guys, but I haven't created like any storytelling environment yet.
Sure, no problem.
Yeah.
And what I can do too is I can look up a couple of references to send your way and be like, hey, maybe take a look at this and throw that in there if you're feeling so inclined.
Right, right. No, that's perfect.
Because I'm
Any references, anything that you think would be cool, please send it on over. And also chat, if you guys have any suggestions, please, send it our way.
This is cool though, man. Good job.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thanks, thank you, thank you. I'm hoping that so what I'm hoping that I can do for the next round. Oh, let me go ahead and see if I can do this so that oh shoot. Crap. Wait, hold on. There you go, that's better. So to get rid of everything so that now I can do this. Then it's like a full screen. King says quality is back. Yay, good, nice, glad to hear. Thank you so much, King. So essentially, I think I need to just create more structures, more elements, more stuff for us to fly by. Maybe
Hmm.
create like a trench, like a Star Wars trench run, just to
Totally.
make it, cool. Because right now, I
Yeah.
mean, it's pretty bare bones.
Yeah, because like you have the right idea with those like beams, the like parallel beams, sort of creating a little pseudo trench. And then the space station thing too, I think is a really good idea. Um, I think you could even get away with an even bigger space station than that, though.
Uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh.
Something that you could really fly, something that would be on the scale of like the entire terrain map that we currently have on the, you know, the level in Unity, the one level that we
Right.
have.
Yeah.
Um, but I think so for me, uh, I've been confident that we could figure out a way to make this space work, and everything that you've shown here is further evidence. It's just proving even more certain to me that we can do it. And I think there's a couple different, storytelling wise, a couple different ways to approach like doing something interesting.
Hmm.
You could imagine something kind of like in Star Wars Episode 3, the opening scene where there's like that big battle over Coruscant, right?
Coruscant. Yeah,
Um,
that's like the best, or not the best, but one of the best choreographed designed space battles I've ever seen in my life.
yeah, that opening shot is amazing. So if we
Right.
could do like, copy something like that where there's this big battle with all these giant frigates
Hmm. Hmm.
and these smaller little fighters, and they're all kind of like dodging in and out of each other, and then there's space stations, and um, we can do something like that, and that would be really cool. You could also do like some kind of like asteroid field mining operation where it's a combination of like asteroids flying around and then also
Hmm.
giant structures that are sort of built into the asteroids and defensive systems that are there. You could do like a a battlefield graveyard, which is where it's not an active battle, but it's just the wreckage of all the ships that died there.
Yeah.
So you could do something like that.
Yeah.
Uh, you could do just like a big space station. There's all kinds of neat sort of story vignettes that we can use as the sort of basis for the theme.
Nice.
Um, and the other thing that could be cool too is changing the the skybox. In some environments may or some levels maybe you're in space, but
Hmm. Hmm.
there's like in this case you've got this kind of like green nebula in the background. Maybe on another level there's like a purple and blue nebula, and then in another one there's like a gas giant that's like got these, it's like this big blue gas giant with these rings or something. um there's all kinds of cool stuff that you can do with the skybox to kind of, yes, it's space, but it's interesting and it's unique and it's got this specific personality and identity for that
Right.
level.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm glad you're saying all this because I was afraid because essentially I was like, crap, what am I supposed to do? It's empty space, and I started like kind of freaking out because I didn't really know what to do. Because compared to your trench things in on the planet, or what we have right now in Unity, it's beautiful. It works great. But once you have it in space, it's endless. Literally, it's endless, right? And then so I guess that's one thing I want to talk to you about is kind of like the scope of things. Like now instead of just creating three bots and one mini boss and one hero ship. Now I'm kind of creating like, which I don't mind, which I totally don't mind. It's just now we're creating like a whole like environment of, I don't know, trenches and spaceships and everything. Um, and if you're okay with it, I'm totally okay with it. In that it'll definitely take a little bit more time to create those assets, make it look nice and sexy. But yeah, if you're down with it, then I think this is definitely a learning experience for me. Um, that we could take it to the next level. But I also know the fact that we don't want to do too much to kill ourselves.
Right. Well, so I'm good either way. I think we're probably going to need additional models for the MVP for like buildings or structures or like non-enemy models.
Right.
And we can probably get to a point where we can say, where we can make a kind of like what we did with the enemies, where we said like, okay, let's do, 3 base enemies and then a mini boss. So we've got 4 total. We could do something similar like that, where you create a little inventory of like, okay, we need, these 6 buildings, we'll say.
Hmm.
And then we're just going to build an entire level just using those 6 Lego pieces. And it could either be on the planet, and those things could be like, ruins or a giant rock or a big tree or
Hmm.
something,
Hmm.
or it
Hmm.
could be in space, where it's like one of those is an asteroid, one of those
Right.
is uh, like a steel armature that has been broken away from something, or it's a giant frigate.
Right.
Um, so I think we're gonna need those things either way, and then it's just a matter of which one are you more excited about?
Hmm.
Because
Hmm.
I'm honestly, I'm kind of leaning a little bit more towards the space one.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, but yeah, like which of those sounds more appealing to you? Like doing these additional like assets for space, or for uh like a terrestrial level?
I the real answer is I don't know because I've never done this before. So I honestly do not know. I want to say space because I guess it's more malleable in that we could fly in any direction. We could go downwards, we could go upwards. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't mind doing space because right now I'm liking it how it looks. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think I'm leaning towards space. But again, I need to build I need to build more in order for it to make it look even cooler. For me to say, aha, yes, that's the direction I want to go there. I still need to prove it to myself that space is the better um, environment for our MVP.
Okay. Well, in that case, let's keep exploring it. I'll send you some references that I think are maybe going to be helpful.
Please.
Um, and then we'll revisit it again next time.
Nice. Cool.
But this is
Awesome.
awesome. Like really good job with
Thanks, man.
the putting these pieces together, getting the camera to snap to the ship, because that's actually really helpful as sort of like um a visual tool to just kind of
Hmm.
virtually fly this thing around in the model. And then the rendering and the skybox, like that's all super cool. Like this is really selling the concept in a big way.
Right, right. I mean, it really is the skybox that really makes it feel like space. Because like if I showed it to you, again in the solid mode, it's just like
It's
that,
yeah, it's hard to
you don't.
tell. Is it snowing?
Right,
What's
right, right. Yeah, so it's not as interesting, but when you're actually in this mode, it actually feels um like space, which is great.
yeah.
Um
Good work,
yeah,
man. This is
yeah,
great.
no, thanks. Thank you, man. I spent a little time trying to figure this out because I was doing Kickstarter stuff last night, and I'm just gonna go ahead and end it here. Let me stop sharing screen. So last night I was kind of just doing Kickstarter uh stuff to trying to launch my next campaign, and then in the back of my head I was just thinking about this space level, and I'm just like, what am I gonna do with this? Because I know we started talking about space, and then why do space? And then I just this morning I started like putting stuff together, looked at some references, and I'm like, oh, okay, there's a launch tube. Let's do kind of a launch tube-esque type structure, right? And that's about it. And that's why I came up with I had to watch some Blender tutorials again Again, if I don't use Blender for like 3 months, I just kind of forget how to
Yeah.
do the most rudimentary, the most basic actions, right? How to extrude stuff. It's just like, oh my God. And also like how to put a HDR in the environment. It's super simple, but if you don't use it for a long time, you totally just forget. So that's basically why I did this whole the last night and today. So hopefully on Sunday I'll be able to create like a scene, an environment for us to fly through. Hopefully it'll be nice.
Cool.
Yeah,
Wow. Yeah, that'd be awesome, man.
yeah, yeah. But I can't stress enough how I mean I'm not worried, but I want to make sure anything and everything that I create in Blender can be transferred successfully into Unity. Because there are some, for example, like the asteroid field, it's done using Blender nodes. It's actually I can actually show you. This is a little bit technical, so bear with me, guys. Let
No
me
problem.
try to. That's one thing that I need to figure out on my end because in hold on. Oop, all right, go grab. Okay. Ooh, hold on. I'm gonna turn off asteroid field, and I'm going to turn on asset asteroids. So these are the 5 asteroids that were made in Blender. Um, However, on top of the asteroid, there's oh shoot, there's basically like procedural nodes that is required for it to look a certain way, because without it, it would look more or less like this, right?
Whoa,
And
interesting.
yeah, so if I go to render view, if I do that,
Oh man, that's so cool.
it'll look something
Well,
like that, right? And if
mm-hmm.
I took all these out, it would just look like, well,
Hmm.
just black apparently. Uh, it would just look like this. It wouldn't have any textures. It wouldn't have anything sexy at all. But in order for me to us to have um oh shoot, I think I fracked it up. Connect that and displacement. In order for it to have texture and all that sexiness in the model, sorry, it needs some time to calculate.
No
It
problem.
needs these nodes, and I don't know if what's going on. It's not registering. Boo. Oh, there it is. So it's because of these nodes that gives it this kind of texture. It's not like the traditional, you know, just make the model, UV unwrap
Mm-hmm.
it, and then put the images on there, and then paint it, and then boom, done. The way that Blender does it is like it's called procedural nodes. That's the technical name for it. It's you make the object by adding a whole bunch of like color ramp, multiply, Vernoy texture, and it's all done through math and calculations. It's not done through a projection of art
Mm,
or whatever. So yeah, it's all technical, and I'm not smart enough to explain as to how it really works. I just know that this is the way it works. This is the way.
sure.
Um, and I don't know how I can take this and then just export it into Unity, because I know for a fact
Mm-hmm.
that very likely if I export it as is, this is what I'm going to get, a flat
Mm.
geometry without all the nice textures going on in there, like little dents. I didn't make those dents at all. Those are just,
Oh, cool.
yeah, they're free. They're free textures because of the uh, this little node right here. This right
Wow.
here. Yeah. So it's
Yeah,
very
that's
cool.
awesome.
It's very, very powerful. If we did this whole thing in Blender, I mean if we were making a movie in Blender, then bam, done. We're good.
Mm,
But because I have to export stuff out into Unity, all this, I'm not sure how to do it per se, but it
mm-hmm.
is one of my goals to figure it out. That's just something I gotta do. Maybe I just gotta model it and then texture it, because everything looks It looks really, really cool in Blender. I have to admit, it's like
Yeah.
that's really, really cool.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
Yeah,
And it's cool that it's like kind of procedurally generating the art for you. Like that's
yeah,
really cool.
yeah, yeah. There's a whole bunch of YouTube videos on how to do stuff like that. I'm still very, very new to it, but that's just one of the amazing methods that you could do in order to create textures and clouds, terrain, asteroids, spiked icicles, this whole bunch of stuff. And today I just basically looked at, oh, how do you make asteroids? And then that's it.
That's cool, man. No, that's
Yeah,
great.
yeah. And then you go ahead and hide that, and then just bring up the asteroid field. And what you can do with the asteroid field is, let me make that selectable. And then what it is, it's a particle system. So it's actually all the asteroids are inside this little box. And then
Mm.
so what I can do is, if I'm smart enough, I can, oh,
Wow, that is a lot of options.
yeah, and yeah, I can make these asteroids bigger.
Whoa.
Raw,
Holy smokes.
it's like a huge ass asteroid field. Or you could just, make it small like what I had before. It's like very tiny asteroid field.
Hmm.
Yeah, you could go up the size a little bit, something like that.
That's cool.
Yeah. So when you're actually flying through it, it will feel like
Whoa,
whoa.
yeah.
Yeah. So I definitely learned some skill today, and trying to figure everything out.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Looks great.
Yeah, thanks, dude.
I love the glow.
Oh, yeah, yeah. That's it's called the bloom effect. It is I could turn that on or off. Oops, sorry.
Oh,
So that is off right
oh
now.
yeah, there you go. Wow.
Yeah, that's without it. I find it uh kind of cooler with it. It's
I think
more
so
cool.
too.
Yeah.
I think
But
it's maybe a little strong, but it's I
right.
I think we should definitely, if we can find a way to include it, like that would be great.
Yeah. This is a Blender uh little effect. It's in
Hmm.
Blender, but then we have to figure out how to use it in Unity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which is I'm pretty sure there definitely is a bloom effect in Unity.
Yeah, I hope so. Well, yeah, well, if there's not, somebody's probably written some kind of like package or something that you can add to Unity to do that.
Right. Yeah. Oh, notice how I'm flying through the environment without the ship. So this is more or less
Oh
kind of like
yeah.
the first person. Maybe we need a more of a cockpit view. Um, but yeah, this is
Hmm.
kind of like the first person. And where's our hero ship? Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to find it.
Hidden in the asteroid
Uh,
field.
yeah. Oh, actually, there
Oh,
it is.
wait, is that it right there?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, yep. So okay, and that's basically it for me on my end.
Awesome, man. Well, that was a great
Yeah.
update. Like it's cool to see all that. It's almost like getting to see another level.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, if we do more, do more than one level, I hope we can do one that's on the ground too, because in the actual terrain environment, you could do a lot with it too,
Mm-hmm.
like all the different kinds of environments and everything.
Yeah, when we get to the point where we're ready to start making multiple levels, yeah, we'll definitely do a combination of space and terrain.
Right, right.
Man, and it would be really cool if we can find a way to do a level that does both. Maybe like start in space and then you
Hmm,
fly
hmm.
down to a planet.
Actually, that's not a bad idea. I mean, we could have a best of both worlds in our, in our level. Kind of start in space and then end up on Earth or end up on the terrain level, maybe.
Hmm.
Kind of
Or
like,
vice versa, you start on terrain and then maybe you're chasing something into space.
yeah, it's like
Yeah,
you
there you
land.
go. Oh yeah,
Yep.
you've already, yeah, got it simulated already. I mean, we could certainly cheat that by
Going through like a
like you
fog or a cloud, right?
exactly,
Yeah,
and then load a completely different level, and then it seems like it's seamless, but
yeah. Star Tours does that. Have you
oh
written
yeah, yeah, you're right.
the Star
Yeah.
Tours? Yeah, because they start in
It's
like,
like, oh, we're going down on the planet, and
yep,
then you,
yep,
as soon as you enter atmosphere, it's like getting all these clouds whipped in your face, and
yep,
then you break through the clouds, and now you're in like, oh, it's Naboo.
yep, yep,
Cool.
yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of
And the
cool, right?
lighting is pretty great too. Like it's interesting how different it is than the lighting on the terrain level, where I
Hmm,
really
hmm,
haven't spent
hmm.
that much time like thinking about the lighting. I just kind of like set the basic directional light, however it was like by default, and then kind of just left it. But here, this is interesting.
Yeah, lighting definitely is a huge thing because I kind of had to create a pseudo sun because without a sun, if
Oh
the
yeah, it's
if
crazy
the
dark.
if the only thing that was powering the lights in the space is the HDR photo, you get a little bit of ambient lighting, but
Hmm.
not much, right? So I kind of had to create like a those eyes glow. That's cool. You
That
kind
is
of had
cool.
to, yeah, I had to create like a sun
Hmm.
that actually has lights, and I could either make the sun less or more. So I can make it like just nothing, or I can make it a little bit and then a little more,
Oh
more, and
yeah,
more. Yeah,
cool.
yeah. It's whatever, however we want to play with it later on, however we want to set it.
Awesome.
Yeah, cool. Um, yeah. Hopefully that is a good showing of what I did. Trying to prove to myself and you that space can be done. It's interesting. I think the saving grace to this stage was the HDR map that actually made
Mm.
it look like space. Because again, without it, it's just like blah. As well as
Hmm.
the asteroids, because without the asteroids, you won't like be able to tell you're actually moving in space.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you definitely, yeah, if you don't have terrain underneath you, you're gonna have to have objects in the environment that give you that sense of orientation and
Hmm,
movement.
hmm. Yeah. Yep. 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 Cool. Um, are you good, Michael? With this?
Yeah, love
Sweet.
it.
All right, cool. Go ahead. Chat, do you? I apologize, chat. I know that we disconnected for like the third time. So we went ahead and reconnected. But if you guys are still there, if you guys have any question for Michael or myself, then feel free to ask away as we enter into our Q&A. Feel free to ask us anything. And while we wait, we'll just go ahead and just chat a little bit as to how what we've been up to. And with that said, I will go first, Michael. Which I've already mentioned that I've been working my butt off trying to get the next Kickstarter done for my pins. And oh, is it? No, I don't have it there. Let me go ahead and log in. And I want to show you really quick, Michael, what I did so far um, for my Kickstarter. And let me load
Sure.
this before I show it to you. Before I share screen. Okay, I am ready to share screen. Screen number 3. Oh, not this. So put this down there and put this in here. And it's actually not
Steampunk
part.
sailor pins.
It's not part 2. It's actually part 3 now.
Ooh,
So
cool.
these girls have been made, and let me go ahead and show it to you guys. Oh, actually, oops, wait a second. Wait a second. Wait a second. I'm back. Rah, I'm back. So I've already submitted the pins for review.
Hmm.
I'm sorry, the Kickstarter for review, and let me go to the story right here so that I can go to preview and just
Cool.
show you guys the pins that I did so far. 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right, perfect. So actually, let me go back one step. Not part 3. I want to go part 2. Okay, so these girls, right?
Hmm.
I don't know how if you can see it, Michael. If I let me stop share really quick. So the pins number twos are basically done. I packaged it in my little package right here.
Cool. I like the
Yeah,
packaging.
yeah, thanks, man. So these are the steampunk sailors, and as I told you before, I've struggled with the manufacturing of these pins because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes the quality is not that great, and I have to let them know. It's like, oh, can you please remake these pins because the metals on them, they have corrosion issues. Anime Jesus
Hmm.
says, cute pins. Thank you so much, Anime Jesus. So yeah, I basically make like cute anime pins on the side, and I'm hoping to launch my third pin very soon. So these are done, and let me reshare it with you guys. Um, Boom. Okay, so yeah, these was what I just showed you, and the
Hmm.
next one that I'm hoping to do is called the Starlight Sailors. They're just another form of Sailor Moon girls, uh, and people have been asking me to do it, so I'm like, oh, okay, let me go ahead and do a version of that. So I've
Cool.
have these 10 on the side already made. Now I'm
Mm-hmm.
hoping to get these three made as well. And so I spent the last 2 days putting this together. And again, Michael, I just feel so divided. My attention is so divided. I gotta do Kickstarter stuff. I gotta do, my tarot cards, and then I gotta do our game. So I'm just like, oh my God, and trying to balance everything out, is just
It's hard.
it's hard. But I just got it done. One thing I realized that for me, the hardest part is battling inside my head, like to do it. Because I
Mhm.
could think about things for a very, very long time, but actually doing it is not hard. It's actually the mental challenge for me to get off my ass and just have the volition to just execute the thought that takes more work on my end. That takes more energy than actually doing the work itself. Because for me,
Absolutely.
I'm just thinking like, how am I supposed to do this? Should I do this before or after, or how am I supposed to cram this in before our review? And is this the first priority thing? Should I be doing something else? So just like a million things going on in my head when I'm like trying to figure out my priorities in designing stuff like this. So
Hmm.
yeah, basically I just went ahead and just created this uh, a campaign, and I'm hoping that it will get approved fairly soon so that I could kick this off in maybe like next week or so. So the reward is, if you play for $5, you'll get like 3 stickers of each of these girls. Free US shipping, yay! And if you pledge for 1 pin, you get, or if you pledge $12, you get 1 pin. However, if you pledge for $30, you get 3 pins. Essentially, it's like $10 per pin instead of 12, right? And
Hmm.
also, since that, because all these other 10 are already made, I went ahead and threw a reward tier as well as like you could go ahead and buy 13 pins. And let me ask you, Michael, instead of for 100 for 13 pins at $130, It's essentially $10 a pin. Do you think I should mark that down to like maybe $9 to have be a little bit more incentivized to actually do it that way? To sell it that way?
I mean, if I'm speaking on behalf of the customer, like, of course, like,
Right, right, right,
the
right.
customer would definitely want, especially I think if you're spending that much, like you're getting all like the entire collection,
Right.
then yeah, I think it's perfectly reasonable to give an, slightly more of a discount.
Yeah, because
What would
now
that
I'm
come out to if it's 9 times
nine
13? Is that
nine
what it would
times.
be?
You're right. So 9 times 13, that's 117. So
117?
yeah, so maybe one rounded up 120 or 110,
Yeah.
110 or 120. Yeah, I think that sounds better, right? Yeah. Okay. I'll definitely do that. I'll change
Yeah,
this.
and I mean, yeah, I think, yeah, that's great. And
Cool.
it's
Cool.
cool
Cool.
that
Cool.
you're offering like the whole set. Like
Hmm.
that's
Hmm.
that's really cool.
Yeah,
It seems
Lord
like that would be
knows.
a really good value for.
Yeah, because I have like a bunch of these guys or a bunch of these girls laying around, and I don't want to keep them in my home forever. So it'll be good to get not
Sure.
get rid of, but just like uh have my work be sent around the world, which is awesome. Like people
Hmm.
have been posting their pins, and I'm so glad that a lot of the pins have been delivered successfully. Because man, I've gotten some complaints that they didn't get it, but I did send it.
Oh
But
no.
USPS, they lost the packages, so I'm
Ah,
just like, oh my
geez.
God, yeah. And then so I had to resend it to them. Um, so yeah, last night, or part of the whole 2 day effort was to actually take photos of these pins, and then making sure that the colors are correct, and getting you know trying to use Photoshop to make these backing pins like straight, because when you're taking a photo of anything, it's never like too super
Hmm.
aligned. So I have to go into like Photoshop to make it like nice and straight. So that takes a lot of time. So man, whenever I look at product placements and product photos, I totally appreciate what they do, because it's not easy trying to do all that stuff.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, and I'm just showing like these are some of the past pins that or
Oh
past
yeah,
campaigns
cool.
that I've done um, before this one. So yeah, that's what I've been doing the last 2 days. And boy, I tell you, it's just one of those things that I have to do in order for me
Hmm.
to sleep well at night. Because if I don't do something, I just don't sleep well at night. It sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know the exact feeling. No, it looks good though, man.
Yeah.
Looks
Thanks,
really
man.
good.
Appreciate it, dude. How about yourself? Have you done anything new with you?
Um, a lot more CS50 stuff.
Mm,
Um, Not quite as much iOS stuff. But yeah, the CS50 thing is coming along. It's hard. Like it's pretty tough. And something that I uh, am realizing more and more, I think, is that it's even though it is billed as if you have no programming experience, like there's no prerequisites for this class, like come on in. As long as you know, like, high school math, like you'll be fine.
right.
Um, I think it's actually pretty advanced, like it's pretty challenging
Hmm.
because some
Hmm.
of the concepts that I've already been introduced to and am like expected to know to be able to do the problem sets, some other like I was watching this YouTube video of this guy, a much older guy who's like been a computer programmer for decades at this point, and he's like, it's crazy to try to teach somebody who's just learning computer programming recursion. Like I would never go over that concept with them until they've built up a lot of confidence in these other fundamentals first.
Right.
And that was like something that I had to learn in like week 3 on
Wow.
this
Jeez.
CS50 thing. Um, so that's kind of giving me a little bit more of an appreciation for like, oh, this is actually, I don't need to beat myself up for taking like 3 weeks to do 1 week of the course
Right. Right.
because it's hard. Like
Right.
it's pretty tough.
Yeah.
but it's cool. Kind of like what, I had showed you last time where I'd
Hmm.
written a C program to do some stuff. I've done some more of those things.
Nice.
And in the spirit of our uh sort of like motto, that, bit by bit, step by step, um, that's another thing that I'm using often to approach the CS50 problems is they'll have like, this 3 hour lecture, and then they've got like maybe another hour's worth of additional videos, like short videos to kind of explain things in a little bit more depth. And then they give you the problem set. And the problem set really requires you to be able to do a lot of like you have to have mastered quite a few new concepts to be able to successfully complete the problem set.
Hmm. Hmm.
And they kind of just ask you to do it all at once. And so what I've started doing now is like, okay, well, hang on a second, let me go and just do this one little piece where they're like, the problem set says build a program that can do these 10 things. Like, okay, well, hang on a second. I'm going to build a little program over here that just does one of those things. Just that way I can say like, okay, yeah, now I understand how this one piece works. And then once I do that, then I'll plug it in over there. Now I'll go to the next one. And I'm not going to build it in this big complicated program. I'm just going to go make a littler thing on the outside. So like, for example, imagine that the program is some complicated thing that's like, yeah, you need to take in all these image files from this folder and you need to manipulate them in this way, and apply all these filters and then export them to this other file and make sure that you do all this stuff. Like, okay, rather than do all that, I'm going to write a little program over here that all it does is open a file and close a file.
Right.
And once I have that piece and I know like, okay, now I know how that works, I got it, that's mastered, then I can plug that into the bigger program. Like now it opens a file and it closes a file. And then the next piece is like, okay, I want to do something with that file. So over here, I'm going to open a file, do a little something with it, and then, and basically the reason why I do it outside of that is to give myself this little sandbox that is much less code. And also if it breaks, it doesn't, screw up the big program. It's just
Mhm.
like it gives me this place where I can kind of experiment and screw up and go like, oh man, that totally broke, and that's not working, and oh no, it deleted the file. It's easier to do that in a sort of like little sandbox environment than doing this big thing. So anyway, all that is a really long, rambling way of saying that's kind of how I'm approaching this, is
Yeah, sure.
doing these little like experiments and little pieces. But yeah, the CS50 thing, I'm going to be really is cool. Like the course is amazing and I'm learning a lot. It's great, but I am definitely looking forward to the day when I'm done, when that knowledge is in my brain and
Sure,
not,
sure.
I don't have to, ingest it.
Yeah, and I can't imagine how else how what the any other way but to take it little bit at a time, because that's just that's so something that's so foreign to you, not me because I'm not learning it, but it's foreign to you that it does take time and energy to actually understand it conceptually and to actually saturate yourself in that course and actually understand all the content that's being presented. And I'm sure it's not easy because hell, I mean, I don't understand it. For It's hard, man. My mind isn't
Yeah.
created for CS computer science at all. Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of minds, like even mine sometimes, and I'm very like programmatically inclined, and even I am like, man, that doesn't make any sense.
Mm.
Like that's really confusing. Um, but another thing that helps me too is drawing. Like if I'm just really struggling with something or with writing a program, like drawing it out, like drawing a
Mhm.
diagram,
Mhm.
making it
Mhm.
into like a metaphor, and then drawing arrows and stuff. And like, oh, okay, that's what it's doing. Because really, if you can write um, in plain English what you want the program to do, like literally open this file, open a file named this, saved in this folder. Then take that file and count every single word in that
Mhm.
file. Let's say it's a text file. Count every single word in that file. And now tell me how many words you counted. Because if you can write all of that out first before you turn it into computer code, then you have like a really good understanding of like, if I gave this to a robot that was really dumb and was like going to do exactly what was written on the instructions,
Mhm.
if I gave it to that robot, could it actually do what I wanted it to do, or would it run into a problem where it said
Right.
like, aha, you said you wanted to, wanted me to count every single word in here, but you didn't tell me what a word was.
Right.
So I didn't know how to like what to count. Like, okay, every time you encounter a space or a period or an exclamation point, that's the end of a word. Like,
Right.
okay, got it. Now I know how to count it. Like, anyway, the point of all that is just to say that, writing it out like in English or drawing a diagram first makes coding a lot easier, because
Hmm.
then it's
Hmm.
just a
Hmm.
matter of translating from plain human English into
Code.
what the computer will understand.
Right. 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 Yeah, that's cool. Oh, thank you for explaining that, man. But
Sure.
yeah, good. And seriously, I always say this, like, keep on going. Good luck. Do what you can to learn it. Take as much time you need to, because it does take time. And you're doing a great job, especially like how you're programming everything in not only Unity, but you're also doing the Apple, the
Hmm.
I/O apps as well. So you're like tackling both fronts, which is more power to you, man. More power to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Um,
hopefully we can take advantage of that and get into the mobile game at some point.
yes, which is something I definitely want us to talk about, maybe in the near future, because the more and more I think about the need or want of, how do I say this? I want to create a learning game based on Japanese, like learning how to, learning hiragana and katakana, playing a shooter game or something, a side scroller shooter or something. Like, in order for you to get through the stage, you have to hit only the words dog, right? So you have to only hit inu, and you have to know how it looks on the screen. So if you don't hit inu, you don't pass the stage. Something like that, right?
Hmm.
So that it's like when we actually play the game, we actually learn what the word is and how it's pronounced. Maybe on the sound system during in the game, there's like an overhead person saying, "Now you must hit the words inu," and then you're like, all right, where's Inu? And then boom, boom, done. And then you have to hit the words cat. And then you're just like, crap, what's cat? Oh shit, oh no, and then you die because you don't remember it in time. But then if you know it's Neko, it's like, all right, ne, ko, boom, boom, done. And then stage cleared, and then next round, and then just keep on going. So something along the lines of learning Japanese via playing a stupid shooter game or something like that. Uh, so when that happens, I definitely will need your expertise to program it in the iOS program
Yeah,
game engine.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Mm.
Yeah, that's there's a really long conversation we could have about that. And I think when
Nice.
when we get ready to do that, I've got some like research materials and some ideas of like, based on my own personal experience with learning how to learn languages,
Hmm.
which is a skill all in and of itself. I think there is the potential to do something uh, that really hasn't been done or isn't being done by these by a lot of the more popular, more well-known language learning apps like Duolingo and things like that.
Right. Right.
They're cool and useful in in a certain capacity, but I think there might be a way to do something
Mm.
more effective, more interesting, more in depth. Um, but that's a much longer conversation. One idea that
Okay.
I did have that I can kind of float now would be it. Uh, it'd be really cool if you could do like some sort of interactive game that like where you would have to learn a certain amount of Japanese in order to be able to play the game successfully. Like,
Hmm.
for example, are you familiar with the Ace Attorney games? No, we might do a video game appreciation on Ace Attorney then, because I haven't
Cool.
played them. I'm very familiar with them though. They're extremely popular, very well reviewed games,
Uh-huh.
and I have them. I haven't played them yet. Well, Anime Jesus, I love Ace Attorney
Oh,
games.
cool. Oh, and I
Oh, and
see
Redline Dragon is here.
Redline Dragon. Hey, Redline Dragon, how are you, man? Hopefully you're doing well. Thank you again
So
last
yeah.
week for sending that sketch. That was really, really awesome. Appreciate it,
Oh
dude.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep
So
keep it up.
why did Anime Jesus say I love Ace Attorney games? Why did she say that? Is it a really awesome game, Michael?
Well, so I haven't played them. They've been on my list for a very long time,
Hmm.
and on a like recent Steam sale, I got a trilogy of them. They're extremely well reviewed. They're very well known. Anime Jesus says very awesome visual novel series,
Mm.
and so it's my understanding as somebody who's not played the games is that it's like an interactive story where you are kind of taking on the role of like an attorney, but you're also kind of like trying to solve crimes and trying to trap the guilty through questioning. But you need to properly review the evidence beforehand and make sure that you're paying attention. So, when somebody says, like, oh yeah, I was at such and such place at such and such time, you can catch them in a lie because you're like, oh, actually, I reviewed the evidence and we have video footage of you being in this place instead. If you don't do that, they might get away,
Mm.
or they might like get off the hook. And the writing's supposed to be really, really good. But anyway, I thought like it'd be really cool. Like, what if we did something like that where the story was maybe you're an American or something and you're in Japan and you're trying to help them solve some kind of murder mystery or something, and there's certain and we like feed to the player at their appropriate skill level just enough Japanese where they like have to learn the Japanese in order to solve the mystery.
Hmm.
And you will do better or worse depending on how much Japanese you've memorized.
Interesting.
Because um, one of the like most important findings that I've come across is the ability to like the number one way to process language acquisition is oh man, I'm gonna forget it. There's this guy named Stephen Krashen who's a professor in linguistics and language second language learning or foreign language learning, and he's been doing it since the like 70s. And he found out that the only thing that works is basically to receive comprehensible input. So, if you and to receive comprehensible input in the target language, and not just comprehensible, but compelling comprehensible input. So what does
Hmm.
that mean? Comprehensible input is like if you know the the teacher gets up in front of the class and starts talking to you in the target language, but is really clear about it, um, and like draws a picture on the whiteboard of like a house and refers to it in the target language, like uh, what is it in Japanese? Ue?
Ue? House. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ie or
So
ue.
the teacher would draw that on the board and be like,
Uh-huh.
ue des, ue des.
Right.
And so even if you've never taken Japanese before, you've never encountered the language in your entire life, you would be able to make the connection like, oh, that that concept, this building with four walls that people live in, home, I call it a
Hmm.
house in my native language. Apparently, ue or ue des has something to do with that.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
then, maybe the teacher draws a dog, inu des,
Hmm.
inu des. I'm like, oh, that ue and inu, but they both say des. That's interesting. Like, I don't know what the des is, but it's, they keep saying that. And through getting enough of that comprehensible input where it's like it's input, but you can understand it, you can learn the language that way. And that takes precedence over actually producing the language. So, like
Hmm.
speaking and writing and all that stuff, listening and reading comes first.
Hmm. Hmm.
And the way to get to accrue the number of hours that you need to actually be able to learn the language is it has to be compelling. And the best way to do that is through storytelling because
Sure.
stories are so engaging. So,
Right.
for
Right.
example, the Professor Krashen refers to this one kid who grew up in America. His family was, I think his family was from Taiwan or China or something. So they spoke English and Mandarin, but they liked to watch. But he liked to watch the channel on TV that had these like the superhero program or something in Cantonese.
Hmm.
And so he ended up learning Cantonese that way. And he
Nice.
speaks it fluently only because he wanted to know what was going on in the stories. Like he wanted to
Sure.
know what was happening. And
Right.
so if you can create content like that that is comprehensible and compelling, the beauty is that you cannot help but learn the language. It's not
Right.
something that you have to try to do. It just happens naturally. Um, and there are a few resources out there now that do that. Like I found a really good one called Comprehensible Japanese that where there's a teacher where she does that. Um, but they're pretty few and far between. It's kind of like it's this idea that's been around for a long time, but so many uh, language institutions and language like apps and programs don't really buy into that. They try to do other things. And so anyway, all that is just to say, I think there's an opportunity there for us to do something potentially really cool.
Yeah, that's cool. Anime Jesus also said, by the way, we connected. I apologize for the disconnect. Guys, thank you so much for staying with us. Anime Jesus also said, I played every single one of them more than once and heavily studied for the first three and dissected
Hmm. Hmm.
it hard to figure out how it worked well for a game design school report. That's cool. Nice.
That's
So
amazing.
that's great, man. That's awesome. So yeah, I should definitely take a look at that. So yes, would you say our is this a foreshadowing of what to come for our next game, Michael? Or uh,
Well, I don't know, man, because I have so many ideas for
right?
games. I'm kind of
Yeah,
like as excited as I am about the one that we're working on. I'm also like, man, I want to hurry up and get this done because I've got like
I know.
6 other ideas I want to get to.
Yeah. I know I shouldn't think that way, but I'm also right there with you, dude. I'm right there with you because for me, I want to. Yeah, I do have a passion of learning Japanese, and and funny thing is I've been while I'm sketching on my own, not during stream, but when I'm just doing my own thing, I have the what is it? The you know how the in Japan there's like a Japanese level course 5 through 1, the
Hmm. Yep,
JP something something
the
JP
Japanese language
Japanese.
proficiency test,
Yes, I've been
JLPT.
JLPT. Yeah. I've been listening to that while I'm, sketching. So it's like I'm listening to number 5 and then 4 and then 3 and 2 and 1, So I'm just like listening to that while I'm sketching and while I'm going to bed,
Oh
just
yeah.
trying to refresh all the
Hmm.
vocabulary of the Japanese in back into my, into my vocabulary. So I was just like, and then while I'm doing that, I'm just thinking, boy, I wish I could learn not just by listening, but actually by playing a game. Hence that whole idea of, learning via game, playing a game that actually makes it even more fun and I'll learn it a lot more easily, right? Oh, Anime Jesus says the sound and music design for Phoenix Wright is secret MVP for those games. Oh, cool. That's
Nice.
I
I'm
should
looking forward
write.
to that too then.
Yeah, I should write that down. Uh,
Oh, and so another thing that maybe in that same kind of idea of like teaching somebody a foreign language, specifically Japanese, through like a mystery solving game. There's another game series, and I wonder if Anime Jesus has played this or has anything to say about it. There's another game series called Puzzle Agent that's pretty cool, where you're basically playing this character who's trying to solve a mystery. He works at the FBI in a very obscure division of the FBI called the puzzle division or puzzle solving division.
mhm.
And so he's like really good at solving like crossword puzzles and things like that. And he gets sent to these like really obscure places to solve these little mysteries. And in order to get the clues and get the pieces together, you were you're kind of like exploring the town, and then you come to a puzzle, and then it's this little mini game where you're like trying to, I don't know, reconnect wires in this like big rat's nest of wires,
Mm,
to get them to like reconnect a circuit or something.
interesting.
Um, and so that could be a really neat way to like have those individual puzzles be like little language learning things. So like maybe
Right.
if you're learning hiragana or katakana or whatever, maybe those little puzzles could be like, oh, you've got this ripped up piece of paper that if you reassemble the correct pieces, it'll be the hiragana for or whatever.
Right. Right.
I
Right.
don't
Right.
know.
Anime Jesus says I have those games and know of it, but I haven't played it yet.
They're pretty cool. They're probably not as good as the Ace Attorney games, and they're certainly not as like well produced. I think they were a much smaller team.
Uh-huh.
Um, but they have a lot of personality, a lot of charm, and
Nice.
they're pretty funny.
That's cool. That's cool. But yeah,
So yeah.
yeah, that's in a way, I kind of want to hurry up and finish our rail shooter game so that we could also start doing this whole education learning Japanese game, but one step at a time. And I'm like trying to rush it, but I know that you have a lot to learn. I have a lot to learn. So the idea is still there. We just gotta keep writing it down and save it in the idea vault, right? But yeah,
Totally.
chat, do you guys have any other questions for me and Michael? Please ask away. We are here until maybe another 5 to 10 minutes. Buh, 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 buh. Oh, Anime Jesus says Twitch ads are so aggressive. I keep missing half of the convo. Oh, I'm so sorry. Um,
No.
uh, don't worry, Anime Jesus. I will definitely have this Twitch stream. It's going to be in the VOD, but also I will be uploading it onto our YouTube channel. And I don't know if I actually have the YouTube channel thing. Hold on, let me do this really quick. Um, and if you guys don't know, we actually have a YouTube channel for our between me and Michael. We have our own YouTube channel, and I want to go ahead and give this guys to you and let you guys know that I've been uploading our videos on there every week. So right now it's not showing up.
Anime Jesus says the stream died, and it looks like it died on my end too.
Ah,
We Design Studio went offline.
boo. Man, yeah, this thing is getting really, really horrible.
Um, yeah.
All
Okay,
right,
now it says
I think we're
we're
back.
back.
Yeah.
Um, and Anime Jesus also says the circuit stuff by Michael. Did you mean kind of like Among Us? Um, yes, I actually haven't played Among Us. I wish that I had gotten in on that when it was at that peak of Among Us frenzy. But I believe so, where because I think in Among Us, it's basically like you've got these little tasks that don't take more than, maybe 10 to 30 seconds to kind of complete a thing. Uh, in Puzzle Agent, they're a little bit more complicated than that, where you actually do kind of have to think about it for a couple of minutes, unless you're really good at solving puzzles and you can do it really fast. But in Among Us, they're designed, I think, to be much simpler, where it's just like just enough to keep you distracted long enough for the villain to sneak up and kill you, or for you to feel pressure about like, I got to get out of this task quickly so that somebody doesn't kill me. In Puzzle Agent, it's there's not that kind of pressure, and the puzzles are a little bit harder.
Maybe it should be pressured so that it's like, oh my god, I need to hurry up and learn this or else my character is gonna
I'm
die.
gonna die.
Yeah. But Anime Jesus, I just post or well, I don't know where the chat is. I just went ahead and posted the link for our the channel between me and Michael. And if you ever want to catch up anything that you missed, you feel free to look at the videos on that website. or on that YouTube channel. So thank you so much. And again, you guys, I totally appreciate and I totally apologize. Um, well, I appreciate you guys sticking with us even though it keeps dropping, and I apologize for the fact that it keeps dropping. So sorry. And I don't know what to do. I'm a little bit like unhappy. I'm pissed off is more like it, but I this is like killing the whole vibe of the stream. But that's fine. We'll not your fault. Twitch has been weird all day. No, thank you so much. And I think I need to either reinstall it or John T made a comment earlier about how it fixed for Andy if and when she's changed to Streamlabs instead of Stream Elements. I don't know if it's a Stream Elements issue or if it's a Twitch issue, but yeah, apparently people's streams have been dropping left and right, and I'm one of them. So it's so frustrating. But no, thank you, Anime Jesus King and Redline Dragon. Appreciate you guys sticking around throughout this, going on and off, on and off. And I'm sure people are like so sick and tired of seeing, oh, Chris is now streaming online, for
Yeah.
like the fifth, sixth time. It's like, oh my gosh, what are you doing, Chris? But yeah, so I totally appreciate you guys being very patient with me and Michael and with Twitch that you just stay with us. So anything else, Michael? Anything else, Anime Jesus? Anything else? Anyone in the chat before we end stream?
Yep, I don't have anything. I'm good.
Yeah. But before we go, Michael, I've also wanted to talk a little bit about uh, your book. Boom. I just
Oh
put your
yeah.
book on the thing. Let you guys know that Michael is a amazing author. He crafted this blockbuster blueprint book, a step-by-step guide to crafting a best-selling story. Michael essentially took his vacation break and then locked himself in a room to, gather all his thoughts on how to create an amazing story. And Michael, feel free to talk a little bit about it before we go.
Sure. You were doing a great job though. You should be my hype man for marketing this thing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's basically it's a book that I wrote that was I never really intended to write that book. It was more I was trying to write other stories or to, improve my storytelling craft and was kind of getting frustrated with the other books that I was reading. And so I decided like, I'm just going to do my own research. And so I did and ended up taking so many notes and doing so much research that I ended up creating my own sort of like story model and then put it into a book and then
Nice.
published it in 2017.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a couple of years ago. And I've got another book that I'm working on about creativity that I'm
Nice.
hoping will be out this year. I might push that to next year because currently computer programming is taking the priority and working on our game is
Right.
the priority over writing a book.
And Anime Jesus just posted your Amazon link to your book. Thank you so much
Nice.
for that.
Thank
That
you.
is so awesome of you, Anime Jesus. Yeah, she's also
Anime Jesus is also on the marketing team now.
yeah. That's so cool. Yeah, that's thank you so much. Really appreciate that, Anime Jesus. Really appreciate that. But one day, Michael, I still want us to work together in creating I don't know, like a comic book together or something, or do that, illustrative book that we talked about before we changed it into a game. That's still something I'm very much passionate about because I definitely want you not to not use your. Oh, well, I'm using a double negative. I'm confusing it. So I want you to keep on writing, and I want to, you know, be able to draw based off of your writing and create like a book off of it. And I think that's still another thing that we can both pursue either on after this is done, after all our multiple games are done. And yeah, I seriously want to do that fun D&D genre of storytelling because I think it's still very cool. So I don't want to get too much into it. I just want to leave that there. That one day I want to do that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I I want to do something with it too. Um, yeah, we won't leave that project on the shelf. Well, I'll just put that there.
Nice.
Oh, and then Anime Jesus also asks, when are you playing Phoenix Wright? Good question. I'm trying to get my stream set up in place. I'm really dragging my feet on it because I'm prioritizing
much,
other
yeah.
things. But in the very near future, once I get my ducks in a row, I'm going to start streaming on my own channel. And Chris Lee and I are also going to have another joint channel that will be moving the Project Rail Shooter development to eventually. And part of our planned programming for that is we're going to do like video game appreciation episodes or segments. And for one of those, we'll probably do some Phoenix Wright, or I may just stream myself playing the Phoenix Wright games in their entirety, since I've never experienced them. So that might be kind of neat content for people.
Yeah,
So
we'll
stay
definitely
tuned.
have Anime Jesus to be in that stream as well.
Yeah.
When you play,
Please.
that would be very, very cool. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap up. Again, my name is Christopher Lee. You could find me here on my channel, twitch.tv/Lee Design Studio. And if you guys are still watching, I am currently I'm trying to get my YouTube channel, Lee Design Studio channel, to 100 subscribers so that I can have my own custom name, so that it's not channel slash a whole bunch of gibberish letters and number behind it. So if you guys have a YouTube account, please go and subscribe. I would be very, very grateful. So thank you so much. And I'm gonna toss it to you, Michael. Michael, you said that you don't have your Twitch thing up right now, but sooner or later in the future, that's where they can find you, correct?
Yes. And
Nice.
until then, the best place to find me would be right here. Every Wednesday and Sunday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I'll be joining Chris and we'll be working on this game.
Yeah, yeah. So, I want to say to each and every one of you, thank you guys so much for sticking around, because this was a extremely, very, very extremely unstable stream. Holy cow. I never had a stream this unstable before. Woof, but you guys stayed with me, and I really, really appreciate it. And I know I keep saying one last thing, but one last thing is Michael and I are doing or we will have a new channel coming up very soon, and Michael and I still need to decide like when we are doing that. But hopefully we'll let you guys know, and then we could all meet there. And it's gonna be a place where we can all share our ideas, share each other's projects, share our journey, share this and that. It'll be more like a place where creative people can congregate. You don't have to be creative at all. You can just be there, hang out, chillax, share your ideas, share your drawings, share your anything, anything light and fun and creative. Nothing too sad and nothing too serious, because I'm by no means a professional therapist or anything. So, but if you guys have any ideas you guys want to talk about, Michael and I will be happy to be there. And maybe on that stream we can talk about movies as well, video games as well, stories, anything and everything. Yeah, so very, very soon we will be able to do that. All right. And I'm pausing right now because I would like to do a little raid. And I think tonight we shall raid one of my favorite channels. They're called Double Toasted. And they're pretty fun. Michael, if you're watching, let's go ahead and see if they will acknowledge us, because they're a pretty huge channel, and it's pretty fun. They're the people that
Yeah,
I
that'd be cool.
watch every single day. So you guys, thank you so much for again sticking with us. Hopefully we will see you guys next week. Okay. All right. Take care, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye. And we will raid
Bye-bye.
right now.
I'm curious to see if it's
He was supposed the
if
kid ain't got no
mine.
money for this. The kid was supposed to
Oh,
like
interesting. It gives me
swerve
the
into
option to
traffic and
leave. It
almost
says
get hit
rating
by a
double
bus
toasted.
and get
trying to
Doctor
save
Strange
And then there's a
his,
leave
his
button.
attention.
Yeah.
But I'm waiting to see
yeah,
what's
but
going to
Sam's
happen.
like, "Kid, where you
Because it's
going?
been
Fuck
frozen
man,
for
like,
like
he's
an
stopping
hour.
the kid like,
Ah.
while you
All right,
riding
we're
the
gonna-
kid on the sidewalk.
We're rating them right
And
now.
let me tell you something.
Uh-oh.
She-
That's cool.
She can't
And there